Hey, how's everyone doing? This is Jon Mitchell, and I want to get right into it today. Um, if you're the type of person, or you are a person who is following a diet, a specific diet, whether that's carnivore, keto, plant-based, you name it, without having tested to see that that's what the ideal diet is for you, then this is the perfect video for you because I'm going to show you the flaws in trying to figure out or trying to decide on a diet just based on research and not based on your current nutrient levels, biochemical status. So, background to the labs we are going to review today is this was from a client of mine who is an athlete and a few years ago decided to go on a more plant-based diet because this is what one of his mentors was recommending, and initially felt good, felt like he had better energy on it, he was recovering faster, and that's not an uncommon thing to hear from people who go to a plant-based diet because typically they're cutting out a lot of the junk as well, and they're just eating a lot of clean fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, grains, that type of thing. But what happens when you go on a restrictive diet over a longer period of time is you often create nutritional deficiencies by omission. And depending on the type of diet you're on, again, whether that's carnivore, keto, plant-based, you tend to see certain trends. And this one is like a quintessential nutritional profile for someone who is a plant-based eater. So we're going to see how these eating habits pan out in your nutrient status and biochemical status. So this is why I love testing, because it is the only way that you can see where you are at and what you specifically need, as opposed to just guessing what type of diet you are on. So this makes things so much easier. It's very sobering and it helps you understand why you just can't follow the diet du jour, and you have to make dietary choices based off of labs that quantify you as a category of one, and also complex with your lifestyle, your mindset, and your environment. So all those things are in play here. It's not just about the labs, but they are integral, especially if you're an athlete. So let's get into, we're just going to go through the important parts of these labs here. So the first thing I always want to look at here is your carbohydrate metabolism. And really, when I see these three, the lactate, pyruvate, and BHBA, this is really telling me what type of oxidizer you are. So the two main ones are going to be your fast or slow oxidizers. And this person is clearly a fast oxidizer. He is metabolizing the nutrients he has taken in quickly. And what this means is this person needs to eat more frequently, 3 to 4 meals per day. And this person's in an imbalanced fast oxidizer, as we can see from the very low lactic acid and then also the low pyruvic acid. And the reason that we are looking at these levels is, and we'll look at this Krebs cycle here. So the Krebs cycle shows us how the body breaks down macronutrients, fats, proteins, carbohydrates, and converts that into acetate or acetyl-CoA, which goes into the citric acid cycle, and it's going to help break down those acetate further, and it's going to produce ATP, which goes to electron transport chain and produces energy. So essentially, all this is, the whole point of these macros is, all right, are they going to help us produce energy? And this is the cycle that we're looking at. And when we see someone with low pyruvate, low lactate, they're not producing enough acetyl-CoA, not enough going into that citric acid cycle, these people tend to do better on more protein, more fats, and eating more frequently. So this is someone that I wouldn't recommend a intermittent fasting diet. I would think that's a bad choice. And then same thing with the plant-based, it is probably worsening this imbalance here, this fast oxidation imbalance. So really important that we get this, that we understand this. And this was a big thing that we talked about on our call, because this person wasn't eating enough and wasn't eating frequently enough, and was noticing that when they did do more of an intermittent fasting, they didn't feel as great and that they needed more food. Also on here, typically I do see in these vitamin markers, typically these are much worse in people that are plant-based. But this person was taking a powdered greens that had vitamins and minerals in it, so that's why these actually look fairly good. The folate's a bit elevated, not too bad, and then glutaric elevated as well. So this person does have some issues with B2. And the other reason why I know that is we're looking here at his fatty acid metabolism, adipic and subric acid. So how is your body breaking down fats and converting it into energy? Is it doing it efficiently enough? As an athlete, super important that you're getting the energy out of the food you are taking in. This person's adipic and subric are both elevated. I like to see those below 1.0 for both of them. So this is often a result of two things. It can be low carnitine or low B2 riboflavin. So typically you're going to get most of your carnitine through animal products, so it makes sense why that would be low. Your body can also produce it itself via lysine, but as we'll see further down in this person's amino acid profile, his lysine's low as well. So this is going to be impaired and an important step, especially when we're talking about an athlete. So looking at the amino acids, the building blocks of proteins within the body, again, very, very quintessential plant-based profile here, where a lot of these amino acids are low, borderline low, and this arginine is in the tanks. Really important when we look at arginine, we also go over to this urea cycle and look at the urea. The body, when the body takes in proteins, it has to break it down and it produces ammonia, which is a waste product. You don't want a lot of ammonia in the body, so the way the body deals with it is it will store it as urea and excrete it that way. This urea is low along with these amino acids, and what that is showing me is this person is not taking in enough protein. Again, very common for a plant-based eater. Some can get it in, but you have to be very particular about getting a good bit of legumes. You're often having to use a lot of protein powders, and I'm just not a huge fan of using a ton of supplements, especially even just broken down protein powders. I prefer more whole foods when possible. But again, if you're an athlete and you have to eat a lot, you're probably going to use some protein powders because it's going to be hard to get that much protein in your diet. Arginine here, again, really important for the production of nitric oxide, which is going to help blood flow. It's going to decrease blood pressure. It's been shown to help people who have type 2 diabetes. So really important that to make sure that this person gets more arginine and just more amino acids in general. And the way you're going to do that is by eating more protein. That's the fix here, is this person needs more protein, just not getting enough. This glycine elevated here. The reason why we're seeing that is this person, even though they're plant-based, they are doing some collagen powders, very high in glycine, so that's why that's elevated. But moving down to the fatty acid profile, again, this is a picture of someone who eats plant-based. Look at these omega-3s. They're in the tanks. Everyone knows omega-3s are important. They're anti-inflammatory, especially the EPA, DHA. Both EPA and DHA make up a significant portion of the synaptic terminal in your brain cells. So really important that you have enough EPA and DHA for your brain health. If you're someone who has a lot of issues psychologically, anxiety, depression, if you have cardiovascular disease, making sure you get adequate omega-3s is very important. And the way you're going to get omega-3s is going to be through your eating fish, essentially. So you can get some through flax seeds, walnuts, especially this alpha-linolenic acid, but you're not going to convert all the way down to this DHA through those. So that's why we see it so low, and we want to bump those numbers up. Also important to recognize that when we talk about fatty acids, it's not just about you want more 3s and less omega-6s, and people say omega-6s are inflammatory, which some of them are, such as the arachidonic acid here, but you need an adequate amount of arachidonic acid and adequate inflammatory response to mount a proper immune response. So your immune function is going to be based off of your ability to produce an inflammatory reaction. So we don't want it to be too high, but we also don't want it to be too low. So people who are dropping out omega-6s are going to create other imbalances and issues over time as well. So this person, it's really not that high. I would like to see this around 35%, but by balancing out those omega-3s, the 6s are going to naturally drop into a good spot. So that's really the fix here. Clearly, this person's overshooting with avocado and olive oil. That's why these omega-9s are so high. Again, we like these a bit lower here, but that's, again, going to be balanced out by getting those omega-3s in. And then finally, saturated fats, I like to see them about 40%. So really not too bad in general with those saturated fats. But the big take home here is omega-3s, very common to see, especially with plant-based eaters. I just don't see, even when people take supplemental omega-3s from plant-based sources, I just don't see it move the needle enough when I look at their lab. So that's why I'm always a proponent of getting more fish, especially high quality ones like the smash fish, sardines, mackerel, Atlantic anchovies, salmon, and the Atlantic mackerel. Those are going to be your big ones. So that is what you need to look for when it comes to fish. And then going down to these mineral markers here. This is, again, just see this all the time with people who are plant-based. Look at the copper and zinc ratios here. These are completely flipped. What you want to see is zinc around that 130 and copper around that 96 or so. These should be flipped. This becomes a big issue over time as well. Remember that copper is like the female mineral, zinc is the male mineral. Copper is high in animal products, and zinc is high in animal products. So that's why this person's copper is so elevated and the zinc is low. You never want to see copper higher than zinc. That's a big no-no. Zinc is important for thousands of different biochemical processes in the body, helps with your immune response, helps with your metabolism, the way insulin works, because insulin is built on a zinc backbone. Zinc is also a precursor to zinc metallothionein, which helps detoxify the body and bind heavy metals. So it's really important that we have adequate amounts of zinc, especially balanced out with copper. Too much copper can be inflammatory and cause other issues, conversion of certain neurotransmitters in the brain to go too much. So again, we want to make sure we get the right balance. And the way you're going to do that is by limiting those high copper foods. So these are going to be things like your legumes, especially garbanzo beans, dark chocolate, even beef liver is really high in copper relative to zinc. So you'd want to be careful with that. And start increasing more higher zinc foods. So that's going to be your animal products, your lean meats. Magnesium looks great. This is like in the sweet spot here. And again, usually your more plant-based eaters are going to have good magnesium, good potassium. So in that sense, his mineral SAS is great, but we really have to fix that zinc and copper. But those are the big take-homes. Those are the things that I commonly see in a plant-based eater and things that you need to worry about. I also typically see a low vitamin D. We didn't test for that on this test. But this is why you just can't go by a dogmatic diet and think that the research is going to tell you what you need. You're a unique individual. You have unique lifestyle, upbringing, mindset, nutrition that is going to influence exactly what you specifically need versus somebody else. So just because someone else thrives, I'm going to put that in quotes, on a certain diet doesn't necessarily mean that's going to work for you. And it also doesn't mean that it's going to break that other person down over time. Remember, sometimes it just takes time for things to develop. So you may feel great on a certain type of diet over the course of a year or so, but what happens when you age that case over the course of a few years? I can't tell you how many plant-based people I've worked with where they felt great initially, and then a few years down the line, their teeth started getting a lot of cavities there and having to get root canals because their mineral balance was off. Their energy is low. They feel like they can't keep on weight and they look emaciated. It can be a big issue for a lot of different reasons. But it's not just about plant-based people. I've seen this on the other end of the spectrum with people who are carnivore or keto as well, where they create their own imbalances. So you always want to go back to what do you specifically need? And the way that we dial that in is by making it personalized, by looking at your specific nutrient status via the right labs. And that way we can make a better judgment call on how to nourish you. And when we do that, that's when we start seeing really big improvements across the board. And that's why I love looking at these tests with people, because it becomes very clear. We can see just based off of them tracking their food intake via an online tracker like Chronometer, and then modeling that to what we're seeing on these tests and these nutrient levels. And it's amazing how much that lines up. So that's the big take home. I'm going to make sure I do a few more of these by looking at other types of eaters and how that affects their profiles as well. I hope you guys got a lot from this.